Welcome back to our channel, soap fans. Today is a phenomenal day to dive into the most explosive drama Los Angeles has seen in years. We are breaking down the absolute chaos erupting between the Forresters and the Spencers, so buckle up and let's get right into the action. Blood, bruises, and a shattered legacy. The collision course between Will Spencer and R.J. Forrester was never just a bitter family rivalry, it was an inevitable, catastrophic detonation of fate. Two fashion dynasties, locked in a toxic blood feud, have just crossed a terrifying point of no return. When a Spencer fist connects with the face of the Forrester patriarch, the shockwaves will level everything in their path. The battle lines were drawn the moment R.J. Forrester returned to Los Angeles. From day one, R.J. pegged Will Spencer as a problem, a nuisance he intended to solve. But R.J. severely underestimated the feral, explosive rage simmering just beneath Will's polished exterior. Will Spencer has unknowingly played right into his rival cousin's hands, and now, the young Spencer heir is staring down the barrel of severe legal charges. The violence has escalated beyond boardroom bickering. It has spilled into the streets, into their homes, and onto the faces of the people they claim to love. It all started with a single, brutal sucker punch at the bikini bar. Will, pushed to the absolute brink by R.J.'s relentless smugness and entitlement, snapped. He unleashed a vicious strike that sent R.J. reeling. At the time, onlookers and fans alike thought it might be a one-off incident, a momentary lapse in judgment fueled by testosterone and family pride. But the Forresters do not forgive, and they certainly do not forget. The retaliation was swift, merciless, and entirely corporate. The Forrester executive contingent convened, and within hours, Will's employment at the family business was terminated. He was stripped of his title, his access, and his dignity. But the ultimate insult was yet to come. The Forresters didn't just fire Will, they allowed R.J. the immense, sickening pleasure of delivering the news himself. Picture the scene, the Grand Forrester Creations executive office. R.J., standing tall with a victorious smirk, handing Will his walking papers in front of the entire Forrester brass. It was a calculated move designed to humiliate, to break Will's spirit, and to remind him that Spencers will always be outsiders in the house that Eric built. That public humiliation was the spark that ignited an absolute inferno. Will retreated to the Spencer Beach House, a sprawling property that Dollar Bill Spencer allowed his son to occupy. It was supposed to be a safe haven. It was supposed to be the place where Will could rebuild his life and his relationship with his revived girlfriend, Electra Forrester. But R.J. Forrester wasn't done. Believing with absolute, unwavering certainty that Will was toxic and no good for Electra, R.J. took it upon himself to play the hero. R.J. crossed enemy lines. He marched onto Spencer property, arriving at the beach house with the sole intention of helping Electra pack her bags and leave Will for good. It was a fatal miscalculation. When Will saw R.J. standing in his home, trying to rip the woman he loved away from him, the Spencer rage boiled over. The verbal sparring lasted only seconds before the physical violence erupted. Will didn't just throw a punch, he unleashed an absolute barrage of fury. He threw multiple, devastating blows at R.J., every single one of them landing with sickening precision on R.J.'s face. It was a brutal, one-way altercation. R.J., the golden boy of the Forrester legacy, appeared completely unable to defend himself against the sheer, unhinged power of a Spencer fighting for his territory. When the dust settled in the beach house, R.J. was left visibly battered, his face covered in dark, swelling bruises. Will stood over him, breathing heavily, having sent a violent, unmistakable message: stay away from Electra. But the violence only poured gasoline on the blazing Forrester-Spencer war. Determined to hold on to the love of his life, Will made a desperate, reckless move. He marched straight into the lion's den. Walking into the Forrester mansion, Will bypassed security and stepped into the sprawling, iconic living room. The tension in the room was suffocating. Electra was standing there, visibly upset, her heart torn between the man she loved and the family that demanded her loyalty. Before Will could even plead his case, Eric Forrester took charge. The patriarch of the Forrester family, a man whose word is absolute law, stood tall. With a commanding, booming voice, Eric ordered Will to leave the property immediately. Will, fueled by desperation and adrenaline, flat out refused. That refusal alone was grounds for a police call. Eric could have had Will arrested for trespassing right then and there. But the Forresters chose a different, far more agonizing punishment. Up until he was fired, Will had been respectful of everyone named Forrester except RJ. He had tried to play by their rules. But the termination had set him off, and now, the only thing keeping him anchored to sanity was the importance of Elektra's love. But Ridge Forrester was waiting in the wings, and he delivered a crushing, non-negotiable ultimatum. Ridge demanded that Elektra leave Will, forcing her to choose between her bloodline and her boyfriend. Eric stepped in, using his immense influence to convince his granddaughter that Will was a dangerous, volatile force. Surrounded by the men of her family, Elektra shattered Will's world. With tears in her eyes, she looked at the man she had once called the one and told him it was over. She told him he had to leave. That rejection increased Will's spin-out tenfold. His heart was broken, his career was destroyed, and his rival had won. Will needed guidance. He needed a father to pull him back from the edge of the abyss. He needed someone to tell him to restrain himself, to cool it, and to give Elektra the time and space she needed to resolve her feelings. Instead, he went to Bill Spencer. Dollar Bill could have offered his son wise, calming advice. He could have played the peacemaker to save his son from legal ruin. Instead, Bill brushed off Will's violent altercations as if they were nothing more than a minor inconvenience. Bill reinforced the toxic, raging Forrester-Spencer war. He puffed up his chest, validating Will's anger and, in effect, completely endorsing his son's violent behavior. Bill's arrogance poured liquid courage into Will's shattered psyche. The Spencer patriarch made it clear, in this family, we do not back down, and we do not apologize to Forresters. But Bill's blind pride has set his son on a direct collision course with a prison cell. Katie Logan Spencer is watching from the sidelines, completely horrified. She knows the stakes. She knows that her son is spiraling out of control, but she might not have enough time to prevent Will from landing in boiling legal hot water. Because the violence isn't over. The climax of this blood feud is about to explode, and it brings us right back to where it all started, the bikini bar. The return bout is set. The players are in position. Will, RJ, and Eric Forrester are all about to collide in a catastrophic third physical incident. Will, fueled by heartbreak, alcohol, and his father's toxic endorsement, is a walking powder keg. When he crosses paths with RJ and Eric at the bar, the tension instantly skyrockets. This isn't just a fight between two young rivals anymore. This is a confrontation motivated by deep-seated Forrester foes, the lingering ghost of Elektra's presence, and a room full of shocked witnesses with their camera phones ready. The verbal disrespect flies. Will, completely unhinged, sneers at Eric, calling the legendary patriarch an old man. That is the ultimate trigger. RJ, fiercely protective of his grandfather and still nursing the bruises from the beach house beatdown, lunges forward. The brawl erupts. It is chaotic, violent, and utterly terrifying. Fists fly, glass shatters, and the patrons of the bikini bar scream in absolute horror. But then, the unthinkable happens. Eric Forrester, trying to assert his authority and stop the bloodshed, steps directly into the line of fire. A fist swings through the air. The sickening thud echoes through the bar. Will Spencer accidentally punches Eric Forrester squarely in the face. The patriarch stumbles back, a massive, dark bruise instantly forming on his skin. The entire bar falls dead silent. RJ freezes. Will looks at his trembling hands, the horrifying realization of what he has just done crashing down on him. You can punch a rival. You can trespass on a billionaire's property. But you do not physically assault a senior citizen who happens to be the most powerful fashion icon in Los Angeles. This third physical incident spells major, life-altering trouble for Will Spencer. This is no longer a family squabble, this is a criminal offense. Ridge Forrester will not rest until Will is behind bars. The police will be called. The charges will be filed. Assault and battery on an elderly man is a felony that dollar bills money might not be able to make disappear. Will has crossed the ultimate line, and this time, he may not be able to walk away. The Spencer heir is facing total annihilation, and the Forrester family is ready to deliver the final, fatal blow. Will Ridge demand maximum prison time for the Spencer heir, or can Katie perform a miracle to save her son? Next. The ink on Sheila Carter's divorce papers is barely dry, but the real danger to Deacon Sharp's happily ever after is not a knife-wielding maniac lurking in the shadows. The real danger is walking right through the front door of the Forrester mansion, and his name is Ridge Forrester. Deacon Sharp is riding high. He thinks he has beaten the devil. He thinks he has won the ultimate prize. For weeks, Deacon has been navigating a terrifying minefield, desperately trying to untangle himself from Sheila Carter without getting himself or Taylor Hayes killed. Now that Sheila has finally signed those divorce papers, Deacon feels invincible. He is a free man. He is ready to put a ring on Taylor's finger. He is ready to claim his future. He believes the fast track to a happily ever after is completely clear. Deacon has had zero competition for Taylor's heart since the scandalous romance began. He swooped in when she was vulnerable. He offered her a safe harbor, a thrilling secret, and a passionate escape from the constant Forrester family drama. But Deacon is suffering from a fatal case of delusion. He has forgotten the golden rule of Los Angeles romance. No one is ever truly safe when Ridge Forrester is in the picture. And Ridge Forrester is about to be back on the market. To understand the impending destruction of Deacon's dream, we have to look at the ticking time bomb sitting right in the middle of the Logan family. Brooke Logan is currently missing in action. She has been jet-setting around the globe, escaping to wellness retreats, doing everything in her power to avoid the catastrophic reality of her daughter's betrayal. Hope Logan did not just leave Forrester Creations. She defected to the enemy. She armed Bill Spencer and Katie Logan with her talent, her name, and her ambition. Brooke has been running from this reality, but she cannot run forever. Eventually, the private jet has to land. Eventually, Brooke Logan has to come back home to Los Angeles. When Brooke's designer heels finally touch down on California soil, the honeymoon phase of her current reconciliation with Ridge will instantly vaporize. The walls are closing in on Ridge, and the impact is going to be brutal. According to our most explosive upcoming spoilers, Brooke is going to return with a vengeance. But her anger will not be directed solely at Hope. Brooke is going to point her manicured finger directly at her husband's chest. Brooke will blame Ridge Forrester for driving her daughter into the arms of the enemy. Picture the scene. The Forrester CEO office. The doors slam shut. Brooke pacing the floor like a caged tiger, her eyes blazing with maternal fury. She will accuse Ridge of never truly valuing Hope. She will accuse him of always prioritizing Steffi's demands over Hope's legacy. Brooke will scream that Ridge pushed Hope out the door. She will claim that his blatant favoritism and his refusal to protect Hope for the future left her daughter with absolutely no choice but to seek refuge at Logan Designs. Ridge will not take this lying down. Ridge Forrester views his company as a sacred empire. To Ridge, Hope's departure was not a business decision. It was an act of corporate treason. Ridge will fiercely defend his daughter, Steffi. He will loudly remind Brooke that Hope lied, sneaked around, and humiliated the Forrester family on a global stage. The shouting match will echo through the halls of Forrester Creations. The absolute undeniable truth is that Brooke and Hope are going to make up eventually. They are mother and daughter. They share an unbreakable blood bond. Brooke is a mother first. When the dust settles, Brooke will always defend her child. She will pull Hope into a desperate embrace, tears falling, forgiveness flowing. Brooke will justify Hope's actions, claiming she was manipulated by Katie and Bill. But Ridge Forrester does not forgive and forget when it comes to betrayal. Ridge will look at Hope and see a Spencer weapon. He will look at Hope and see the enemy. Ridge will refuse to forgive traitor Hope. He will flatly deny her any grace, any understanding, and any path back into his good graces. This fundamental divide will completely shatter the foundation of Brooke and Ridge's marriage. Brooke will demand that Ridge show her daughter respect. Ridge will demand that Brooke show his company loyalty. The tension will reach an absolute breaking point. The spoilers tease a moment of pure, unforgiving drama. Ridge Forrester is going to issue his wife a brutal ultimatum. It will be the ultimate line in the sand. Ridge will look Brooke dead in the eye and force her to make an impossible choice. He will tell Brooke she has to choose. She can stand with her husband and the Forrester family empire, or she can stand with her traitorous daughter. Brooke Logan has made many sacrifices for Ridge Forrester over the decades. She has compromised her pride, her relationships, and her dignity. But Brooke will never, ever abandon her flesh and blood. When forced to choose between the man who holds her heart and the daughter who holds her soul, Brooke will choose hope. The moment Brooke makes that choice, bridge is over. The legendary romance will shatter into a million jagged pieces. Ridge will realize that he will never be Brooke's absolute priority when hope is in the crossfire. Ridge will pack his bags. He will walk out the door. He will become a single man once again. And a wounded, single Ridge Forrester is a highly predictable Ridge Forrester. When Ridge is hurting, when his ego is bruised, when his marriage to Brooke collapses, he always runs to the exact same place. He goes crawling back to his other ex-wife. He goes straight to Taylor Hayes. This brings us right back to the catastrophic collision course. Deacon Sharp is currently picking out a ring, completely oblivious to the massive storm gathering over the Forrester mansion. Let us be brutally honest about the origins of Deacon and Taylor's scandalous romance. Taylor Hayes did not seek out the Il Giardino owner because he was the love of her life. Taylor began dating Deacon because she was profoundly, achingly lonely. Taylor was discarded by Ridge. She watched the man she loved run back to Brooke Logan for the millionth time. She was left out in the cold, starving for affection, desperate for validation. Deacon Sharp was warm. Deacon was available. Deacon looked at Taylor like she was the only woman in the world, something Ridge had not done in years. The forbidden nature of their romance, the danger of sneaking around behind Sheila's back, made it thrilling. Deacon was a lifeline for a drowning woman. He made Taylor feel alive again. He made her feel desired. But what happens when the man Taylor truly wanted all along suddenly becomes available? What happens when Ridge Forrester shows up at the Cliff House, looking deeply into Taylor's eyes, telling her that his marriage to Brooke is over for good? If it were entirely up to Taylor Hayes, she and Ridge would be married right now. She has never truly stopped loving him. She has only learned how to survive without him. When Ridge inevitably comes knocking on her door, seeking comfort, seeking validation, seeking the unconditional support he can no longer get from Brooke, Taylor is going to freeze. The emotional whiplash will be staggering. Taylor will be forced to look at the man standing in front of her and compare him to the man waiting for her at Il Giardino. Deacon Sharp is about to face the one man he can never truly beat in Taylor's mind. Can Deacon really compete with Ridge and Taylor's massive, decades-long history? Can a few months of sneaking around on a couch compete with marriages, children, and a lifetime of shared memories? Deacon will fight. He will not let Taylor go easily. He has risked his life, his business, and his safety to be with her. He survived Sheila Carter's wrath. He survived the knife. He survived the absolute madness of his divorce. Deacon will plead with Taylor. He will remind her that Ridge always breaks her heart. He will remind her that Ridge will always eventually go back to Brooke. Deacon will promise Taylor absolute loyalty, something Ridge can never guarantee. But the pull of Ridge Forrester is a powerful, toxic gravity. Ridge knows exactly what to say to make Taylor melt. He knows exactly how to play on her insecurities and her deep-seated desire to rebuild their family. Steffi Forrester will undoubtedly pour gasoline on this fire. Steffi despises Deacon. She was horrified by Taylor's affair. If Steffi realizes that Ridge is single and vulnerable, she will relentlessly push her parents back together. Steffi will view Ridge's split from Brooke as a divine intervention. She will corner her mother and demand that she drop the pizza maker and reclaim her rightful place by Ridge's side. The psychological warfare will be intense. Taylor will be torn between the safe, devoted love of Deacon Sharp and the passionate, chaotic, historical love of Ridge Forrester. Will Taylor have second thoughts about Deacon when Ridge is back on the market? Absolutely. The moment Ridge kisses her, the moment he tells her she was right all along about Brooke and Hope, Taylor's resolve will crumble. The fantasy of a reunited Forrester family will be dangling right in front of her face. Deacon is going to find himself thrust into a brutal love triangle. He will go from planning a wedding to fighting for his romantic survival. The irony of this entire situation is absolutely staggering. Deacon's own daughter, Hope, is the catalyst for this destruction. Hope's decision to join Logan Designs is the exact trigger that will destroy Brooke and Ridge's marriage. Hope's betrayal will set Ridge free. And a free Ridge will immediately target the woman Deacon loves. Deacon's own flesh and blood will accidentally hand his greatest rival the keys to Taylor's heart. This summer is going to be defined by explosive couple swapping, shattered loyalties, and ruthless emotional warfare. Brooke will lose Ridge to protect Hope. Ridge will lose Brooke and run to Taylor. Taylor will be forced to choose between her history and her future. And Deacon Sharp will be left desperately trying to hold on to a woman who might already be slipping through his fingers. The stakes have never been higher. The tears will flow, the slaps will echo, and the romantic landscape of Los Angeles will be permanently altered. Will Taylor stay loyal to the man who risked everything for her, or will she fall back into the intoxicating, dangerous trap of Ridge Forrester? What do you think will happen next? Share your craziest theories in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and never miss a single update.